She was thrown off a bus and succumbed to injuries after a nightmarish ride in Punjab's Moga district. Headlines today has learnt that the family of Punjab's bus victim was made to go silent. Threats were allegedly levelled at the grieving relatives after the victim's mother sustained injuries. The doctors too discharged the victim's mother despite the fact that she too had serious injuries. In all, the Badal government has now chosen to give extra protection to the bus drivers and staff of their orbit buses.
Molestation and murder on wheels in Moga has sparked a national outrage. The issue was raised in Parliament and the union government has directed the state government to ensure that there is proper security and treatment which is given to the victim. The victim is recuperating here at the civil hospital at Moga, and what the family now says is that until the license of Orbit Travels, which is reportedly run by the Badal family, which is the ruling party here in Punjab, be cancelled. They are not going to cremate the body of the 13-year-old teenager. But at the same time, this issue has also been politicized by various other parties. Aam Aadmi Party and even Congress are in the fray, and they are making a beeline to the hospital to ensure that this issue is politicized to the hilt. But clearly also the family members are alleging that there is tremendous pressure on them to reach to a compromise. We're also learning that instead of taking action against the travel agency, a security cover is being provided to these buses. So clearly there are a lot of reports which are coming in. It's high time that the government acts and cracks down on this incident and the people who are responsible for this. With camera person Sudhir Kumar, Arthur Khan in Moga for Headlines Today.
After the Moga incident where a 13-year-old was allegedly molested, thrown off a moving bus owned by the ruling Badal family, the state government has provided escort to the buses. The Punjab police will now escort buses owned by the Badal company. The girl had died after being thrown off a bus, and the incident had sparked a massive uproar. The police on Thursday arrested 4 persons, including the bus driver, conductor and helper. There are many questions that have come to light, and we want to just put them all out before we cut across to my colleague Arthur Khan. He is in Moga, right outside the hospital where the victim and the mother was taken. We're also joined by Asid Jolly, senior editor, India Today group from our sister concern, to give us a larger perspective on what we're witnessing right now in Punjab. The questions that have been raised by the family of the victim. Number one, why was it that the parents were made to sign blank papers? Number two, they are alleging that there is a lot of muscle power being used on them to reach a compromise. Number three, why is it that the doctors are advising the mother to leave the hospital when she has grave injuries? So those are the allegations made by the parents of the victim. On the other hand, let's look at the fallout of all of this. At one end, the Badal say that this incident could have happened in any bus, any moving bus. If we accept that, then why is it that the Badals have decided to give Punjab police protection only to their buses, while, and that's where the irony lies, while public transport buses in Punjab will go as they were without any police escort, but the buses owned by the Badals will now have a police escort. Want to cut across to Arthur first. Arthur, clearly all of this which is taking place right now has blown up into a massive political slugfest. The Aam Aadmi Party, the Congress, everybody jumping in. What is the latest that you have to report?
Well, it certainly has, Preeti. It's a highly emotive issue, just like Nirbhay and Uber case. People are, they have empathy with the case. They can relate to it. And this happening, in Moga. So all the families relate to it because their families also travel in these public buses. So what is happening here is, instead of owning up the vicarious liability, the Orbit Travels has been provided with security because they fear that there could be a backlash and people they are so charged up that they might turn violent and, cause damage to the buses. So therefore, there is that concern. So security has been provided, but at the moment the people are quite agitated after this incident. It's quite natural. It's been an incident which is a horrific incident, something unimaginable of what that victim would have gone through. We went to the hospital, we saw her state, and she's still suffering from serious injuries, and the family has been told by the doctors to go and she's fit to be discharged. And there's mounting pressure on them to reach a compromise, to make a compromise so that the matter does not flare up any further. But already there are a lot of political connotations. There's Aam Aadmi Party, Congress leaders have all gathered outside the police station here, and they're leading the protest. Preeti.
Arthur, just stay with me. Let's bring in Asit at this point of time. Asit, familiarize our viewers with the deep irony that right now we are witnessing in Punjab. At one end, the Badals say, they've gone on record to state, Harsimrat Kaur Badal, that this is an incident that could have occurred on any bus, but we are going to take the strictest of action. On the other hand, the Punjab police will now provide security to private bus owners, which are the Badals, while public transport, public buses in Punjab will go as it is without any police protection.
What you have to understand here, I think, is the fact that there's so much public anger on the streets post this incident that I guess it's reasonable to expect that the Badal's buses will get attacked or could get attacked. So I'm not really looking at that so seriously. I think the more serious bit here is that this is a company owned by the Badal family. Sukhbir Badal, the Deputy Chief Minister, is the major shareholder in this. And the directors in this company are his father-in-law and his brother-in-law, which is right. Harsimrat Kaur Badal's father and brother. And there has to be some sense of responsibility / culpability and accountability that has to happen. It happened in the Uber case, like we've all been saying. It happened in the Nirbhaya case. So why not now? Everybody is asking that question.
And do you reckon, with the way things have gone down, what will the Badals do now? Because they pretty much have their backs on a wall. They're cornered.
Yeah. This is bad times for the Badal family. I don't think it could get worse than this. But yes, I mean the police department, it's their government. The police department is under Sukhbir Singh Badal, who's also the Home Minister of Punjab.
Yes.
And well, I expect they're going to try to keep this as low as possible. But given the public anger and given the possibility, very real possibility of somebody actually going to court on this if the police doesn't act.
But, in times of today, Asit, public perception matters a lot. Now, in terms of the kind of reportage we've seen over the last 2 days, the fact that, the Badals have refused to do anything where and that's the question that you also raised, that's the question that is echoing on the streets, that in the case of Nirbhaya, in the case of the Uber cab, the minute an incident like that occurs, there is automatic cancellation of licenses. That hasn't taken place here. Now, how do you reckon this is going to play out in public perception? And how is the centre looking at it? Because till now, it's their alliance with the Shiromani Akali Dal. They are completely silent. But do you reckon, because there is a perception attached to the centre government as well as what is happening in Punjab?
Oh, absolutely. The last we heard was that the Ministry of Home Affairs asked for a detailed report. What became of that report, whether it was sent, whether it was received, we don't know. But yeah, you're right, public perception. People, I mean, there's obvious anger on the streets, and the fact that both the Congress party and the Aam Aadmi Party in a big way, both factions of the Aam Aadmi Party, Bhagwant Mann, who's on Arvind Kejriwal's side, as well as Dharamveer Gandhi, they're all in Moga, they're all outside the police station, and they are agitating.
All right, appreciate you joining us, Asit, because we're going to keep coming right back to you for more on that story. Atir Khan, my colleague, reporting from Moga, right outside the hospital, where the victim's mother is... she's been given the green chit to leave the hospital despite grave injuries. We're going to keep getting our viewers more on that. But meanwhile, the Badal government clearly firefighting the opposition's charges over the molestation of the teenager and murder, which is now being alleged by the family in Moga. Congress leaders staged protest at Harsimrat Singh Badal's residence in the capital. Demonstrations also erupted at the Moga Civil Hospital. Aam Aadmi Party leader Dharamveer Gandhi has now met the victim's family.
मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि कल से हमें एक तो परेशान किया जा रहा है कि यहाँ से ट्रांसफर करो मरीज को, जहाँ हम लोग डेड बॉडी लगाते हैं उन लोगों को क्या प्रॉब्लम है। अभी हमको 3-4 बार फोन आ चुका वहाँ से कि यहाँ से डेड बॉडी उठाकर ले जाओ। हमारी यही मांग है कि हमें इंसाफ मिले, बस हम इंसाफ चाहते हैं सर।